Welcome to this explainer. Okay, think about your brain for a quick second. We usually walk around thinking we're making these conscious, deliberate decisions all day long. But honestly, the truth is your brain is basically a piece of hardware running on a completely hidden operating system. And just like any computer, if you don't know how to program the software, well, the software is going to program you. So today, we're diving straight into the exact mechanics of how to rewrite your own mental code. Let's get into it.
Imagine if you could just reprogram your brain exactly like you update an app on your phone. What if waking up early just felt automatic? No more negotiating with yourself at 6 a.m., no hitting snooze 3 times. You just naturally spring out of bed, totally ready to go. No way, right? It sounds like a literal superpower. It's kind of the ultimate fantasy of effortless, healthy routines.
And let's take that a step further. What if studying or reading or doing deep, productive work became literally as effortless as checking your phone? Just think about the stark contrast there for a second. When your phone is sitting right next to you, picking it up and scrolling requires absolutely zero motivation, right? It is entirely frictionless. But opening a textbook? Oh man, that feels like moving a mountain. Why is that? Why are bad habits so insanely easy and good habits so incredibly hard?
Well, the answer lies in the sheer scope of this hidden mechanism. To put this into perspective, nearly half of your actions every single day are driven by habits. Half! That means 50% of the time, you aren't actually choosing what to do. You are literally just playing out a pre-recorded script. You're completely on autopilot. Understanding how this autopilot works is absolutely crucial because it's dictating half of your life without your permission.
Section 1. The brain's hidden software.
So we're going to open up the hood and look at this hidden software. If we're going to debug the system and install some better routines, we first got to understand the language our brain is actually speaking. Let's start with a really clear definition. A habit is simply a behavior performed automatically after repeated practice. But here's the why behind it. Your brain loves habits because they save energy. Imagine if you had to consciously think about the mechanics of every single thing you did. Calculating the physics of walking every time you took a step, or consciously directing your hands to tie your shoelaces, or even thinking about how to brush your teeth. Your brain would be completely exhausted by 9 a.m. So it creates these automatic mental shortcuts to free up processing power for the big stuff.
And this brilliantly illustrates a really famous rule in neuroscience: neurons that fire together, wire together. Think of it kind of like walking through a dense forest. That first time you walk through, you gotta hack away the branches, and it's incredibly difficult. But if you walk that exact same path 100 times, it becomes a clear, paved road. Repeated actions literally carve physical neural pathways right there in your brain. Over time, those actions require almost no effort, and they transition from being just something you do into becoming a core part of your actual identity.
Section 2. The 4-step habit loop.
Okay, so how exactly is this pathway built? Let's break down how this invisible software functions in real time, every single time you perform a habit. Every habit you have, the good, the bad, the completely neutral, is driven by this repeating 4-step loop: cue, craving, response, and reward. This is literally the heartbeat of human behavior. If you really want to understand why you do what you do, you got to memorize this cycle: cue, craving, response, reward. Let's break down exactly what each of these means.
Step 1 is the cue. The cue is the trigger, right? It's the spark that tells your brain to kick off a behavior. Because without a cue, there is absolutely no habit. Right now, even as you're following along with this explainer, your brain is acting like a radar, constantly scanning your environment for signals. It could be the ding of a notification sound on your phone, seeing your running shoes sitting by the front door, or smelling fresh coffee in the kitchen. The cue acts exactly like a green traffic light. It's basically telling your brain, hey, pay attention, something important is about to happen.
Now let's look at step 2, the craving. This is where almost everyone gets habits completely wrong. The cue creates a craving, but you don't actually crave the habit itself. You crave the underlying feeling associated with it. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it highlights that difference. You don't crave opening the Instagram app. You crave the feeling of novelty and distraction. You don't crave a piece of junk food. You crave the rush of physical pleasure. You don't even crave money itself. You crave the freedom and security it brings. The craving is the motivational force. It generates all the tension and the desire to act. Without it, you just simply wouldn't bother doing anything at all. Which brings us right to step 3, the response. This is the actual behavior, the habit itself. You pick up the phone, you eat the cookie, you open the book. But whether you actually take action depends on 2 big things: your level of motivation and how difficult the action is. Remember, your brain always prefers easy wins. If you set a goal to read 50 pages a day, that setup is just terrible because the friction is way too high. The brain sees a giant mountain and just gives up. But if your goal is to read just one single page, that's a tiny action that completely removes all the resistance. One page easily becomes 5, and 5 quickly becomes 10. And finally, we arrive at step 4, the reward. Every habit must end with a reward, or your brain honestly has zero reason to remember it. This is where that famous neurochemical, dopamine, really comes into play. When you finish a workout, your stress goes down, you feel this awesome sense of accomplishment, and your mood improves. Your brain experiences that pleasure, floods your whole system with dopamine, and essentially stamps a massive "do this again" message right onto that neural pathway. The reward closes the loop, and boom, the cycle is ready to start all over again.
Section 3. How bad habits hijack us.
So if the brain is just seeking rewards, why on earth do we struggle so much with bad habits? Well, I've got good news. It's not actually because you lack willpower, it's because your habit loop has been completely hijacked. The absolute crucial point here is the timing of the reward. Modern technology and junk food are just masterfully designed to exploit our habit loop by delivering instant rewards. You eat a cookie, you get instant sugar. You open a textbook, you get a headache. Our brains evolved to prioritize immediate survival, so naturally we love instant gratification. On the flip side, healthy habits completely rely on delayed rewards. You don't get the physical payoff of exercise for weeks. The payoff for studying takes months. Building a business or an investment portfolio, that takes years. We are basically fighting a fundamental design flaw where our brains are wired for the now, but all of our goals live in the future.
Section 4. Rewiring your brain. So how do we actually take back control? Okay, let's dive into this with the good habit formula. If you want to build a positive routine, you literally just have to optimize each stage of the loop we just talked about. First, make the cue obvious. Want to read more? Leave the book sitting directly on your pillow so you literally can't miss it. Second, make the craving attractive. Focus on the benefits of the action. Visualize the outcome just to build up that desire. Third, make the response ridiculously easy. Again, don't read 50 pages, just read one. Remove all the friction. And finally, make the reward satisfying. Track your progress on a calendar, tick off a box, celebrate your consistency. Give your brain that little hit of dopamine so it desperately wants to repeat the whole cycle again tomorrow.
As you apply this formula, you've got to remember this one absolutely crucial point. The goal is not perfection. The goal is simply repetition. People get so hung up on missing a day or not doing a habit perfectly. But remember that forest path analogy? Every single tiny choice matters. Every time you repeat the behavior, you are physically strengthening that neural pathway. You are physically changing the structure of your own brain. Repetition is exactly what turns a really difficult task into an automatic identity. Ultimately, it really just comes down to this. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. Think about it. Everyone has goals, but if your daily system, your habit loop, is broken, you are never going to reach them. To change your life, you cannot just rely on pure motivation. You must deliberately engineer your systems. You have got to change the loop. So now I want to turn it over to you. Looking at these 4 steps, cue, craving, response, and reward, which habit are you trying to build right now? And how are you going to hack your loop today to actually make it happen? Are you going to make the cue more obvious or maybe make the response a little easier? I want you to take this framework, apply it to just one small area of your life this week,